All right, it is now 6:31. Welcome to the Scituate Planning Board, Thursday, January 13th, 2022. I'd like you all to know that for the first time, this board, Planning Board, we are doing a hybrid presentation, which means that we are all present, obviously, and then if somebody wants to participate remotely, they can, and we will see them, and it will be wonderful. So this is the first time that we're doing this, and hopefully, there'll be probably some glitches, but we'll do the best we can, so be patient with us, okay? Okay. I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the first item is a continued public hearing, site plan administrative review special permit for multi-family building in the Village Center and Neighborhood District, Greenbush Gateway District, Greenbush Gateway Business Sub-District, VCN, GDG, GWB, and stormwater permit for 7 New Driftway, which is now being immediately continued. So, I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing for site plan administrative review and special permit for a multifamily building in the Village Center and Neighborhood District, Greenbush Gateway District, Greenbush Gateway Business Sub-District, VCN, GDG, GWB, until March 10th, 2022, at 6:30 p.m., and to continue the time for action for filing with the town clerk until May 20th, 2022. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next item on our agenda is a Form A on Union Street, applicant owner Anderson Fuel. Mr. Barabito, you're up.
Unmute. And Paul.
No. Sherry, can we get him in?
I asked you now.
Hi, Paul.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. The A&R plan we submitted, what we're asking the board to do is to re-endorse the A&R you have in front of you. It was previously endorsed back in 2001. The original Mylar has been lost, and the owner of the property, Anderson Incorporated, was transferring ownership of Lot A. We're going to retain the ownership of Lot B. And the closing attorneys are requiring that the Form A plan that was approved in 2001 be re-endorsed and recorded in the registry accordingly as part of the closing documents for Lot A.
Okay. Karen?
So I spoke with town council on this, and town council saw no reason not to endorse it, but with the note added to the Mylar, this is a duplicate Mylar originally endorsed by the planning board on May 10th, 2001. This plan is identical to the 2001 plan, and it is indeed identical to the 2001 plan. So she saw no reason to endorse it. Current zoning would apply.
Okay. Questions from the board? All right. I move to endorse as approval not required the plan of land in the town of Scituate, Massachusetts, Union Street, stamped by Paul Maravito of Ross Engineering Company, Inc., dated March 19, 2001, for applicant owner Anderson Incorporated, as the division of the tract of land shown on the accompanying plan is not a subdivision because every lot on the plan has frontage of at least the distance presently required by the Scituate zoning bylaw on the public way of Union Street and Jenkins Place, with a note added to the Mylar indicating, quote, "This is a duplicate Mylar originally endorsed by the planning board on May 10th, 2001. This plan is identical to the 2001 plan. Planning board endorsement of the plan is not a determination as to conformance with zoning regulations." Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay, we're right on time. Imagine that. Discuss preparations for zoning workshop on January 27th.
All right, so this year we have several zoning articles that are going to be going forward, where the first round of public discussion will be on January 27th. The first article is going to be section 440.5, business districts, and we just want to add the word BCN in there as well, because some of this says outdoor seating and microbreweries, and that's all in the BCN district now. The second bylaw that we're putting forth is to amend the zoning bylaw, section 620.3, setback and yard requirements. Amend the zoning bylaw by changing required side yard distance in the R3 district from 8 feet to 15 feet. So this was recommended, this came out of a meeting that we had with the building commissioner, the assistant building commissioner, and the chair of the ZBA. And when I asked at the last meeting if we wanted to put it forth while the warrant was still open, everybody said yes.
Yes.
So that will be going forward as well.
I wasn't at the last meeting, so what's the rationale for the change?
It's a step towards dealing with, and it's in a way of dealing with lot coverage, FAR, and making it consistent with the other setbacks in the R1 and R2 district. Because
Okay.
a lot of the homes build right up to the 8 feet, and I mean, it actually can be dangerous sometimes when you have multiple homes that, are, you got 16 feet between two homes for firefighting, etc. But it's mostly for, to try to deal with, lot coverage.
But it's
and-
also for consistency, because it's 15 feet in the R2 and 15 feet in the R1. So there's no reason why, if it's a 100-foot lot, they still can put in a dwelling that's 70 feet wide. So there's no real hardship here at all.
Right.
None.
Does this make a lot of existing homes in R3 district non-conforming?
It potentially does, but the chair of the ZBA did not seem concerned about that. The third article we're putting forth is the lot area and width requirements, a new section B to read, any lot created after April 11th, 2022, which is the date of town meeting, shall have dimensions sufficient that a circle of 50-foot diameter can be drawn tangent to any property line of all points without the boundaries of said circle passing over the opposite property line. This is our 50-foot our 50-foot provision that we went back and we re-examined after the comments when we talked about it last time, and we tried to address, Steve, your comments, and Ben, in your comments, and this was the way that we determined that would make the most sense, and this came out of our meeting with the building commissioners and the chair of the ZBA, and they did not, chair of the ZBA had no issue with making lots non-conforming. But I think it addresses all your comments that you made. So those will be, I'm reading them as the order that they're going to appear on the legal ad, and the order that I would like to see them as we go into town meeting. So unless anybody has any complaints about that, Ann said she would volunteer to take these three articles. Unless anybody has any complaints about that. The next series of articles, there'll be several articles, is marijuana, okay? We have been working diligently to come up with some, a marijuana bylaw, and what we have to do is we have to take out the old medical marijuana bylaw, and we have to make it consistent with current terminology. So, because this was written before the Cannabis Control Commission regulations came in, so we're still going to have medical marijuana, and we need to make the terminology up to date. As the citizen petition did in the fall, they wanted to move definitions into definitions section. We all agreed that was a good idea. The table of uses will be changed to add the marijuana types in businesses. And we'll have a new section for marijuana establishments, adult use marijuana. And then we'll have an article to delete the temporary moratorium, and then an article to delete the prohibition of marijuana establishments. Those are the zoning ones. There has to be general bylaw as well. We're putting the finishing touches on the adult use marijuana right now. We have been working with a consultant who's been working pro bono. We've had several people review the bylaw. We've met with the police chief, and we've incorporated the police chief's comments. So we hope to get that out to the board next week. But we've been working pretty hard to come up with something that we feel is in the best interest of Scituate. The bylaw.
As a whole.
Right. So the bylaw is largely modeled after the Rockland bylaw. And then the last article that we have to have a public hearing on, we're not sponsoring it, but the Zoning Board of Appeals is sponsoring changes to structures and uses, pre-existing uses. And so the zoning board and the building commissioner will, they've been working on this with town council to try to come up with something that will be to address some of the issues that the planning board raised last time. So all these articles will be discussed at the zoning workshop, and we'll have the correct, the building commissioner will be here to explain his article, etc. But that's where we're going with the zoning articles. I sent you the wording for the 610, and I'll get you out the wording this week on the marijuana ones. But it's hoped that marijuana can be discussed all as one topic, and then, some votes taken as we, there'll have to be votes on the separate articles. And they definitely have to go in a certain order, because you want to have zoning in place before you delete any type of, moratoriums. So unless anybody has any questions on zoning, that's where we are. That's what you'll be hearing next time at the January 27th meeting. We do have a public hearing first, and then the rest of the night will be devoted to the zoning workshop.
What's the public hearing?
An accessory dwelling. I put that first so that the person doesn't have to wait around for all the zoning workshops.
Great. All right. Any questions from the board?
Could be a big night, depending on not the January 27th, but the town meeting.
Yes,
Depending on how much debate there is, because some of these could be pretty contentious. I mean, we already know the marijuana zoning is gonna be a huge one, but, some of the setback and then the lot area and with regs could be a lot of discussion as well, so. just-
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. However, these items have been a source of contention for years, years. And we need to get rid of rat tails. We need to get rid of, some of these little pork chop lots, things that are just not in the best interests of building in this town. So on the one hand, people are talking about, what are you going to do? They're building here, they're building there. This is bringing a few things under control. And I mean, I could put up a couple of examples. One of them was the one up on 3A with all of those rat tails. And then the other one was on the corner of Manlot and Creelman. Those were ridiculous. So,
Yeah, we'll have to figure out between now and then what graphics we want.
yeah, there has to be a little show and
Yeah,
tell.
that's kind of.
Yeah,
So
that's
that,
show and tell.
Right.
You know,
talking points.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be good if you could hand it out as people come in. If it's pictures or examples of those kinds of things.
so does the board try to want to go more towards handouts? I mean, we were hoping to do,
No.
just use this board too.
Right.
I mean, because if we do handouts for this, we may have to do handouts for town meeting. So, I mean,
That's what I was talking about, is handouts for town meeting.
you're talking
Yeah.
about town meeting,
Yeah.
okay,
That's what I was thinking too.
okay.
Yeah, because I just think people have a chance to look at it when they come in, as opposed to,
Okay.
they could be a long way away trying to look at what's up on a
All
screen
right, well,
somewhere
we
too.
can start to put together some of that information. I think we'll just use the most egregious cases, so that we don't have, tons of handouts, shall we say.
Yeah, I think you could actually keep the individual diagrams relatively small and just highlight where the rat tails are on each one,
Okay.
and you get 6 or 8 of them on one sheet of paper,
All right, we will, we'll start to work on that.
yeah.
I thought of one more thing for
Yes.
this. We should, someone either on the board or in the department, we should probably alert the advisory committee liaison again.
Nancy Holt has already alerted the advisory
Okay.
committee. I was supposed to be on advisory committee on January 27th to present the budget. I said, sorry, we have zoning, we have a planning board meeting. I
Yeah.
can't attend. I've been told that they know this
Okay,
and, and they know when the public hearing is going to be.
okay,
It's just that they meet on Thursday nights at the
Right.
same time, but it's been told that it'll all be taped, et cetera.
okay.
And I can also, supposed to go to the advisory board, I believe, on February 3rd. I can also remind them that, the public hearing is going to be on the 10th.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we can do.
That's all we can do.
I just remember the sign thing from a
Right.
couple of town meetings ago, and it's like, seemed like we weren't on the same page ahead of time, so.
Nancy has told them, she has assured me multiple times already.
Okay, okay,
So we are thinking, absolutely thinking about that.
Anything else? All right. Now we have a follow-up discussion of our joint meeting with the Select Board, Master Plan Implementation, and we need to appoint a planning board member to the Master Plan Implementation Committee. There are some that feel that maybe this was a bit of a waste of time. I disagree. I thought it was worth whatever was put into it, Patty.
I think from our point of view, we made it clear what we think is important in the implementation of the master plan. I think that came across loud and clear.
Okay.
I mean, I think the fact that we just had the meeting shows that we're taking the implementation portion of this
Yes.
report seriously, and I think that was important, even if we didn't all walk away from the meeting with distinct marching orders.
Right.
I think just here, we're going to acknowledge this, and it's something that's important for all of us to try to bring forward. And I think that was good to just kick that off.
Yes, because this is the first time that
Yeah.
we've done this. And I felt that it was very important that we do it. So we'll see where it goes. Bob?
I think that's going to be the key, right, is
See where it
going to
goes.
be whether we adopt it as,
Yeah.
you know, a guideline or a map, if you will, and sort of manage to it. If we don't, if we sort of turn it over to the committee and say it's the committee's problem, that doesn't work.
No, it does not work at all.
It's got to be internalized
It will
in
be.
every part of the organization,
Yes.
right? So,
Well, the group that we have put together should be able to deal with that. Bob, do you have a comment?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I thought it was the good first step.
Yes.
In, making sure that the plan does get implemented as opposed to kind of, withering
On the
away or being filed away. So now it's out there and we have a plan to go forward, and while we don't have the specific implementation measures and metrics for determining how we're implementing the plan and process, we do have a way for how what we're going to do to make sure we get to that point.
Right,
So, while not a lot of specifics came out of the meeting, the way forward came out of the meeting, which I think is.
Well, that was the important aspect
Yeah.
of that meeting.
Yeah.
Rebecca?
Well, and some of the things that are in the master plan are already being worked on.
That's right.
Which I was not aware of, so that's a good thing to just know that, and we're going forward with those items, and then these are the other ones we want to pull forward. And it's good to work with another board just to know, like,
What they're doing and what we're
they're
doing.
and there's stuff that they could tell us, we can't do that because we gotta fix this before we do that. I don't necessarily know those. So
Yeah, but that's why,
I thought that was very helpful.
okay. All right, I need a volunteer.
Well, I will volunteer to do that since if you want to do it, no?
I can do it too.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of time that I think that, and I can certainly talk with Ben, stuff that will confuse me, I know from the engineering point of view. But if it talks about time, that seems to be the crux of everything. I do have some time, so I would be happy to take this on and hopefully can talk to everybody else when I have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind like being involved on the back end.
Yeah.
But if you think it makes more sense just
Yeah,
because of
give me
your availability.
Questions that I'll have to ask you that I won't know, yeah.
And it was interesting that one of Brignani said, well, we should hire a consultant. So, the thought was given to maybe hire, if you wanted to,
What's her
Emily.
name?
Emily.
Well, I mean, we can talk to her and see what she thinks, I mean, and how much she would charge and that kind of stuff, but I mean,
It never occurred to me to have a consultant.
well, I think the only reason you'd have a consultant is to help you manage the committee's effort.
Yeah.
I mean, the consultant's not going to lead the effort.
No, but
I
the
don't
one
think
who's
they can,
supposed to
but-
manage this is actually the town administrator.
Yeah, I get that, but a lot of these kinds of efforts take a lot of work. And, having a sort of an administrative resource to help manage all this is not, I don't think it's a bad idea, right? But I think the first meeting, in my view, is going to be the key, is to really walk through what's here and sort of think about how we would organize it and how we would try to implement, these various things, in the town. And I think you're right, Rebecca, there's a lot of things that are already happening. Of course there are, because we pulled a lot of this stuff from studies that had already been done.
Right.
That people are still working on. And I think part of the challenge is going to be looking at all of this and saying, have these things sort of run their course? And are we really going to be able to, elevate the roadways in the town? And should we, instead of just dragging it on, should we put a stake in it, kill it, and focus on other things,
I
right?
think some of that was, I mean, like they said the other night, so, when they tried to get the easements for Humrock and they didn't get them, that's dead,
They're not doing it.
not doing it. I mean, and that's why we wanted to supply you all with the capital budget, capital plan information, because a lot of stuff is already starting to, be put in the capital budget for next year, and, there is a 5-year plan. And so, we have to keep, the committee's gonna have to keep on top of this 5-year plan to determine what direction and what things actually need to get put in there so that we're ahead of the game.
And if you want to do this 5 years from now, what do you have to do before
Right.
you
To get there, right.
So that's definitely very important.
Well, I have to say, I was struck by how much in that plan there is just on coastal activities. It's like 85% of the money,
That really surprised me as well.
is going to, they've flagged it like that, and that's not to say that we shouldn't, invest there, but I think it's a telling sign of, what the future might hold here, too.
Well, I
Pretty
think-
expensive infrastructure to
And I
continue to
also think-
reinvest in.
Yeah, I think if you put out a master plan, the people who showed up were the people who lived on the coast.
Right.
And that's who were most, everybody's concerned, but they have most at stake. So they're the people that showed up and had their voices heard. What I wanted to ask, following Steve's thing, is that, so we make a chart, and they talk about elevating the roads. I could say no, Ian could say yes, Steve could say maybe, Rebecca could say no. At some point, do we make as a group, do we make a decision among all of us that that's something we do or do not support?
I think you have to look at some of the other plans as well.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
Because you have other plans that have been done that talk about certain things.
Yeah.
And what does this plan say about elevating roads? What does that plan say? Because there are a whole bunch of coastal plans, and that presentation to the selectmen is gonna happen. That's a thing that I've been told that they want to have in person, so people can attend, and that might be a valuable meeting for people to listen to, so you can have an idea of what's,
Okay.
what's being talked about.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you end up with these separate committees focusing on their task, right? And they sort of sub-optimize around that task. And to me, the sort of the big picture master plan issue is, with all of these things going on, can we, first of all, hope to accomplish all of this? And are there things we should or should not work on, and focus our resources on the ones that, collectively, I think we think could make some progress here.
Okay.
And somebody's got to put sort of dollars and cents to these things, right?
That's right.
All right, do we need a vote?
A vote for what?
No, we said the other night we didn't need one, right?
Yeah,
They did vote
I'd be
everyone
happy
in.
to help you out with that.
Yeah, because I'll need engineers to help.
We can all help,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think-
all of us. All of us can help.
Yeah.
No,
No, I'm not.
Only Patty's and
I can't do
But Patty's
that.
in charge. Okay.
Can't do that.
All right, are we all set? Moving rapidly along. Old business, new business, correspondence, et cetera, et cetera.
Everybody liaisoning. Yeah, liaisoning.
Okay. I'll go, where's liaison? That's further down, approved minutes.
I'll
Rebecca?
do the minutes. I move to approve the meeting minutes from December 9th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I was not there.
What? So it's 4,
For one
5-2,
abstention.
with 1 abstention. All right, accounting.
Okay, this is,
Whoa, wow.
this is a lot, this is a lot.
You have a lot of
You know what, it was just Christmas, so here we go.
Is there anything in there for us?
I'll let you know. I
Patty's looking
move
for
to
lunch.
approve the requisition of $1,649.29 to Banassi and Associates? Is that
Banassi.
correct?
An ass.
Banas, okay, Banas and Associated for traffic peer review services for 7 New Driftway, for $780 to Chesia Consultant for stormwater review of 3 Poplar Ave, for $2,080 to Chesia Consulting for peer review services for 485 Country Way / residential compound, for $1,755 for peer review services for 533 Country Way, for $467 to Chesia Consulting for peer review services for 48-52 New Driftway, gas backwards, for $3,265.05 to RJB Development for return of stormwater bond and unexpended funds for peer review services, for $2,006.70 to Karen Joseph for mileage, for $450 to Horsley Witten for peer review services for 43 Watch Hill Drive, Inley School, for $293 to Chesia Consulting for peer review services for 5533 Country Way, for $1,040 to Chesia Consultant for peer review services for 3 Poplar Ave, for $4,100 to Barrett Planning Group for technical assistance for zoning amendments, for $133.60 to Chesia Consulting for peer review services for 48-52 New Driftway, gas backwards, for $18.88 to WB Mason for office supplies, for $1,230 to Horsley Witten for peer review services at Seaside for Scituate, for $249.14 to Vanass and Associates for traffic peer review of 7 New Driftway, for $1,800 to Merrill Associated for peer review of 16 Man Hill Road.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. How much was for Barrett for the zoning?
4,100. Well, we had several meetings. She hasn't billed us at all.
Oh,
So her and her sub-consultant, this is for 6 months, greater, so it seems reasonable to me.
okay, all right, fine. All right, there's been a second, and there's been discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, now we have liaisoning. And I went to community preservation the other night. We had an executive session concerning land purchase, which I really can't go into, but we voted $1,200 for the town archives. There was a discussion for Cole Parkway Bandstand for $83,000, and that's been delayed to February. The high school tennis courts appropriated $12,325 to do some type of a needs assessment. Because they're at the high school, and I guess they are a disaster. There was discussion on a 90-foot baseball field, and they need to have a study done. It was a big question mark. That was put off. We voted to accept the late application for a small dog park, and they'll be back in February because that was sort of kind of delayed.
This is the existing dog park?
No, they want to
Another
add a half acre.
To that same one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they want to continue it for small dogs.
We're gonna have to put the sewer treatment plant up there, right?
Actually, what we probably should do is get rid of Go Green and put the sewage treatment plant there. Put it right on the mound.
Where does the brush go, though?
Yeah.
Back to
We
the
need
dump
that,
like it
we
used
need
to.
an area like that.
That's one of the-
Does every town have
No, I
that?
know.
I don't think so.
All right, and then the
lot of
Hollis
towns have
Street
trash pickup.
land acquisition has been delayed. So that's what with community preservation, and that's all I know about that.
Not for the,
Anybody
Green
else
light.
liaisoning?
Well, not really, nope.
Okay. Okay, that's it.
There is a ZBA meeting next week that I hope somebody's going to go to. 5 Williamsburg Lane.
Oh,
is
boy,
back open
yes.
again, so-
what's there?
5 Williamsburg,
Which is, I'm sorry, I don't recognize the,
corner of Country Way and Williamsburg Lane. It's down beyond Ronnie Schoen's, heading toward Greenbush on the right-hand side.
what's it for, though?
They want to put in a house. And it's
It's
wet.
the same tributary that was on 305 Country Way.
Same problem.
Which,
So what, were they just looking for a 50-foot frontage, that kind of thing, or what?
No, this one, you have a 150-foot buffer to a tributary. Because it's in the water resource protection, and it's tributary to
Yeah.
Old Bucket Pond. And they want to build within this 150-foot,
Oh,
so hopefully we'll have a representative there. I did supply the building commissioner with some information from our files.
Because this has come before, this has been around for a while.
So it's new, it's an undeveloped lot?
Yes.
So are they asking for a variance? Or, because it's,
No, they're not asking for a variance. They withdrew a variance application a few years ago.
So what are they asking for then?
yeah.
I believe they're asking for a special permit this time.
From ZBA?
Yeah.
What? Why, what type of special permit?
I think it's section 6.
Ah,
It's
okay.
not built on that. What?
So there's, you know,
Sounds funny.
This has been
hopefully,
going back and forth for several years, right?
hopefully our representative will go and, you know,
We'll
you know,
be
if
there.
somebody
I'll
needs some
take you.
information, give me a call and I'll give you some information.
Okay.
This week,
When's that meeting, by the way?
20th.
January 20th, next
Thursday.
Thursday night. The Border Street,
By Zoom too,
Hates.
Oh, okay.
I think.
What's that?
yeah,
I think there's a Zoom link, I think it's remote.
Everybody
Makes it
show up.
somewhat easier.
Okay.
I approved moving the Border Street Scenic Road driveway that you approved last fall or spring, 68 feet to the north, as during the big October storm, a big 40-inch tree fell and damaged the stone wall. So they want to put the driveway entrance now where the stone wall was damaged, which makes infinite sense. It's moved further away from the corner. So it's actually a safer location. So I approve that. You know, we've got multiple projects under construction, all of them, you know, they're going. Last year at town meeting, we put in the North Scituate zoning. And as one of those zoning districts, we changed it at the last minute to have 15 units per, by right, to help comply with this MBTA community
Multifamily.
multifamily dictate. So I have given everybody, you know, kind of like the guidance for it in your packets right here, but they're developing regulations for it right now. We're an MBTA community with,
This is from last meeting, Tuesday.
you know, we have commuter rail, so commuter rail is gonna have to have a different percentage than a subway for how much multifamily housing you're supposed to have. But you're supposed to have districts where you have, you know, 15 units by right, per acre, and there has to be a reasonable size. Well, unfortunately,
What's considered reasonable size?
50 acres. And we have the
I don't
North
have anywhere that's
Scituate.
got 50 acres.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 50 acres. So the North Scituate area that we zoned last year, you zoned the outer district of North Scituate Village, that amounts to 20.267 acres.
That sounds reasonable.
Plus or minus. And then technically, the NDTV in Greenbush also qualifies because that's 16 units per acre by right, 36 by special permit. That's, part of that is where the Drew property is, part of that's where the gas station's going in. That's another 9 acres. So you're almost up to 30 acres right now. You know, I don't know what, you know, there's a couple options. To comply in 2022, which they're gonna basically assume you're gonna comply, we just fill out a form and we fill out a form and then I will have to go to the selectmen and review the draft guidelines. So that's how to comply in 2022. If you don't comply further down the line, you don't have a choice to get Housing Choice Initiative, local chapter, local capital projects funds, or Mass Works infrastructure program grants.
And how much of that have we gotten in the past?
Now, we've gotten a 2.2 million Mass Works grant, that's what did the Cedar Point.
Right.
So that's
That's
what,
the only one I remember.
right, that's,
Yeah.
right, so, I mean, when I have,
It says 50 contiguous acres too.
well,
Doesn't say,
yeah, I know, but I mean, I think there's, you know, I think there may be some ways to get around it. We don't have 50 contiguous acres.
You don't.
Yeah, that's kind of,
I mean, so, you know, as such, our community, we wouldn't have to comply until 2023.
is this, it says draft, is this out for comment?
This is out for comment right now.
Oh, well, I think we know one comment we ought to make.
So if anybody wants to comment, you know, you can go there and comment, but I wanted to start bringing it up because I think that we may have to do some things to comply. You know, we could always pretend we comply and let them tell us, you know, go through and submit some of the stuff that we talk about in there and let them tell us that we don't comply. We have two other sub-districts in Greenbush that have some acreage. We have the GVC sub-district.
Which is Hoffman.
No,
No?
no. Hoffman is a DVP.
Dear God, alphabet soup.
Hoffman is not zoned for
right.
for any type of housing at all.
Okay.
We have the NDTV, which is where that's zoned for 16 units for 36 by special permit. That's where the NDTA train station is. That's where the Drew Company's building, the gas station, some of James, some of the Riverway, the upper part of the Riverway.
How about the thing at the end, right near the Rotary?
That's in the GWB district. That's your business, Greenbush Business Gateway. That's 18 acres. That's zoned for 12 units per multifamily. Then the GVC goes from that all the way up to, this is the area you're just talking about. That's about 18 acres. The brown area, where you have 50 Country Way, where you have 18 Ford, that's about 30 acres. We just did some rough acreage, you know, had takeoffs so that we could have an idea of what things are. And so it's just food for thought as we start going down the pike, how the town wants to deal with this.
This is really untenable.
Yeah.
It's got to be within a half mile of the
Half
train
mile.
station.
And what,
I mean, that's ridiculous.
what about,
It does say, you know, that's why I just wanted people, give it for people to read. We'll bring it up for topics for discussion another time.
Okay.
I intend to talk about it in DRT on Tuesday. But, I mean, they do say they're going to make some exceptions, because if you don't have the water or the wastewater infrastructure, how are you going to get the multifamily housing? Well, but then they tell you how many units of multifamily housing your town is supposed to have, based on this number. And for Scituate,
it's 1,200.
1,239 units, which I think that is,
And so I guess I repeat my, my question. So we don't comply, so what happens to us? We can't get some grants. Okay, that's the end of the story. I mean,
we may not be able to get any of these grants,
Right.
Which may not be an issue.
right.
Or, you know, I don't know what the full repercussions are. They're saying that there's a housing crisis in the state and we need more housing. But
It seems like a lot of flaming hoops to jump through with very little return for the town as far as, I mean, I can't even think of like, if we like really ratcheted up and like conform to these kinds of, they seem pretty draconian to me, like these kinds of measures for zoning, like we would have to change a lot about the way the town is for the benefit of having the availability of grants that we're probably not really using. And if we want to make capital expenditures for, you know, some type of zoning or whatever we would use these grants for, it might be better just to pay for it ourselves and
Well, and
leave the
so
state,
that's
keep
the
their money in
discussion that we have,
Massachusetts.
that's the discussion
Yeah.
that we have to have.
Right.
I mean, essentially, you're 3/4 of the way there, because you have a district in Greenbush, that you already have 12 units by right per acre. It just would mean adding, rezoning and adding 3 more units, which is what we did in North Scituate for the outer district last year. But, I mean, so Scituate to me is already one step, you're kind of doing what they already want you to do by having multifamily, allowing multifamily housing by your transit stations. We're ahead of that group.
Wait, can I ask you a question? Do they have to be, can we just zone for them, or do they have to be built?
No, they do not have to be built.
Okay.
That's what, I wanted to bring it up tonight because it's a hefty topic. And, you know, I want everybody to read the stuff. And, you know, if you have questions that you think we ought to be asking or saying, you know, giving to the state, then, you know, I'm more than happy to do it. But, you know, it seems kind of, I think you're kind of, we're already one step ahead of the game with our, you know, VCN districts.
What about,
Well, it does look like
excuse me,
DHCD
Steve,
will...
I don't, please, I was just saying something.
I just wanted to follow up on this.
Okay.
This
I
issue
love
of
you
distance.
interrupting me.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Never mind.
I'm sure what you've got, go ahead.
You do it all.
Go ahead.
What's the story with the Duval property? What
Why
would
are we
that be?
talking about the Duval property?
Because it's in Greenbush, Steve,
So,
and it's within a half a mile of the train station.
We don't know. I mean, all we
What-
know
we're
is-
not going to
all we
address
know is
that
what
right
Tom
now.
Marabito said tonight.
I understand that, but what is the potential?
I don't know. I haven't sat down and figured that out.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, the master plan had a sort of build-out type thing, and the numbers come nowhere close to that number.
So it looks like DHCD has already contemplated that, though, according to this.
Yes.
Right, so there are different ways to evaluate that. It doesn't necessarily have to be within a half a mile of the train station. It seems like there's,
1/10 of the,
There's-
1/10 of the 50 acres has to be within,
But part of your district, most of your district has to be within a half mile of the train station.
They're drawing a big circle.
no, they're actually allowing for the fact that some communities may not have that much land
Right.
within a half mile, so they've laid out a way to address those different cases.
Right, so,
So we're not necessarily then just sort of locked into, if it's not within a half mile, we're done, right?
right, we're not, right. I just think everyone should read it, and we'll put it on for discussion another night, so that we can, you know, I'll bring it up at DRT, and, you know, discuss it with the TA, and see, you know, where potentially we may want to go. But I just think that the planning board needs to be aware of this. I mean, everybody's grappling with this, you know, in other towns as well.
And one of the issues that I have with it, and we certainly do need more housing, there's no question about that, but we will have a new governor in less than a year, and we will have new cabinet people in less than a year. And every time an administration changes, the rules change. So I find some of this somewhat disingenuous because it all depends on who ends up running the show. Because this could be changed, depending upon who's in charge.
Well, it can be changed by the legislature, right? It can't be changed unilaterally by the governor. It's a law, right? So,
It's a law, but
Yeah.
it's the interpretation that could change.
I'll say I did this. We're pretty far down that hole, I think now, about we need more affordable, we need more housing for such and stuff. I don't know that that would be such a hot ticket thing to change right away.
How far along in the rulemaking is this?
I mean, they're coming out with draft regulations.
That's it.
Right.
So that's comment, this is a comment period.
I mean,
Sure.
so they're pretty far down the path.
I wonder, and do we have any idea how our local representatives have opined on this at all?
I have no idea.
I wonder if that's something we should, once we've digested it, if we should reach out to them
And
as well.
could you please bring in the planning and economic development person to have him opine on this, please?
Just, it seems a little heavy-handed. And particularly like in the varied communities that are part of the MBTA, pantheon, it's kind of, there's very broad strokes.
Cohasset can't have
It seems
this.
to me.
Class is gonna have to.
This is online, right? This
Doesn't have
presentation, I
this.
think you
The
could watch out.
presentation is
Think about what's in your
online.
hand.
Yeah, it's all right, it's not very long.
yeah, well, it's a state law, that's all it is, right? So, I mean, it's not whether they can or can't, it's a law, right? And-
Like, think about where the train is in
And
like, what's
people
around
may
it.
comply and people may not, and the real issue is what's the effect of non-compliance, right?
Especially, Rebecca, if you go to Summer Street, the second North Cohasset, that stop, which is in the middle of nothing.
That's
just-
just
I mean, they have put something on the other side,
Yeah.
on 3A.
No, I'm
So that's-
talking way down, not the one on 3A, the other train station.
You mean Nantasket?
Yeah, Nantasket, yeah.
Well, yeah, so we made a lot of, like, progress towards what this,
Yeah, that-
what this says, but
It's
we're
almost
not
like Weeman.
over that.
And no one
Is it a
is.
bridge, is it a bridge too far? Is it worth it to keep these accessibility to these grants to go the extra mile with this? I don't know.
And that's what I'll be discussing, I'm
Yeah.
gonna bring that up at our department head type meeting on Tuesday. I mean, is it worth it or is it not worth it? I mean, I think the town, they've gotten one MassWorks grant in the past. I mean, I don't know if they have any intentions of applying for more or not.
And that was our last planning and economic development person that did that. And that's really the one who should be, yes.
So you said we're 3/4 of the way there?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, we have this area, which is 9 acres in Greenbush, and then we have, 20 acres in North Situate that has got it's zoned. As part of that 20 acres I took out, I had them subtract out the MBTA parking lot, because that can't be developed. So, I mean, we do have some, we have some, we're partly there. But,
I would say by reading like 8C, maybe you can get away, there are some things on the driftway
right,
that would count,
ex-
because they're on a road that you could walk or bike or do whatever you need to do to get there. Or maybe anything on the sloop. Just kidding.
no, but so just bring it, we'll bring it up again, and, but I just, I think that as the planning board, you should know that this is coming down because it could affect zoning. And we did try to, when this first came into being last year, we tried to, we didn't know what the requirements were for acreage, but we did try to address it in North Scituate. And you do have something already in Greenbush through the VCN that, addresses it. So just take a look at it and, shoot me some thoughts if you have any. And, I just, wanted to get it to you. We went to a webinar this week on it. So it, other towns are talking about it as well right now.
Is DHCD planning to issue another set of guidelines? It looks like this is the second version that came out. Started in January of 2021. This came out in December.
Yeah, January 2021 was very, very cryptic. They didn't have anything about how much land area you had to put in. And that's why when we were doing the zoning for North Scituate, we said, okay, let's try to seize on the opportunity. But whatever DHCD puts out, but they're in the comment period right now. And that's all I have.
All right, anybody else have any other further comments? Are we all set? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, people.